Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first That Magic Moment, Episode 1, brought to you by me, Gray Falcon, also known as Brandon. We're going to be starting this a new setup. I had been doing Magic during my other show, The Morning Nerdy News, but it takes up a lot of time to cover some of this stuff, so I wanted to go ahead and look at just going ahead and giving its own individual thing. And with Strixhaven just getting its first announcement, I thought this would be a great place to start. Now, if you don't know me, I'm going to go over a little bit of my history where I am kind of getting back into Magic here fairly recently. So I've only really been back into it about a year. A little over a year ago, my brother contacted me, let me know that he was playing Commander, brought over some decks, and I was able to sit down and play with him for this format that I had never experienced before and had a ton of fun with it, and slowly started picking up cards again, and that got me back into enjoying this game that I used to love so long ago. Now, of course, most of my collection had been gone at that point, and unfortunately I was at a position where I just didn't have the cards to play, but through the gift of some people who were actually getting out of the game, it gave me some of their cards, plus going in and picking up some of these starter boxes, some of these beginner sets. I was able to go in there and start playing. Obviously, not to the level of some of my friends here, where they're obviously playing at a much higher level than I'm currently capable of competing, but I am having a ton of fun with it nonetheless, and just enjoying the social aspect of being able to go in, talk with your friends, and play a game. The other day, we played a game that lasted, it had to be at least 3.5 hours, and I got there late. So if that tells you anything, they had already been 5 turns into the game already, and they said, you know what, just sit down, deal yourself in for 5 turns, and we'll just go at it. And that's something I find amazing about the Commander and going in there and playing that, is just the fact that you can go in and your friends can be like, you know what, just hop right on in with us. Not a big deal. We're not going to bug you. We'll give you those free 5 turns. And then it just continued to go on for much longer than any of us really wanted to play. But we did have fun nonetheless getting through that game. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cover the new Strixhaven for what's come out so far. And first up, I do want to show off, we do have the typical draft box shown down there at the bottom. One of those things that I wouldn't necessarily recommend that anybody pick up unless they really just need a way to be able to sort their cards. Sometimes they have a really cool die that's in there for using as your life counter. Unfortunately, it's only a 20-sided. It's not like they're giving you 2 die to do 40 life or anything like that. So unfortunately, if you're a Commander player, which is what I primarily play now, not going to do a whole lot for you. But it is a good way of having that kind of initial 10 boosters set up if you find that the box is too expensive. Unfortunately, the 10 draft booster bundle oftentimes is overpriced at $40. And if you're getting into the $40, $50 price range for that, you might be better off saving up a little bit extra and doubling down and getting a full box. Otherwise, buy something pre-constructed, go out and maybe hit up Card Kingdom or one of those places that will sell you a pre-made deck that's designed to work and function right out of the box. Not necessarily going to have anything great in it, but for a $40 price tag, you can go over to Commander Quarters. They'll teach you how to build a deck for that $40 that you'll be able to afford and enjoy a lot quicker than necessarily trying to enjoy something like this. But we'll go ahead and scroll up here. We do have the theme boosters. There is 1 for each household. We'll cover those, but this is kind of the Harry Potter style set that we're getting into here. So if you haven't played Magic in a while, or if you haven't heard about this new set after it was announced on Friday, this is it. This is the Harry Potter based kind of set. Now, we don't know that we're actually going to get Harry Potter characters in this. There was at one point of time discussions about it being incorporated with Magic the Gathering, and then because of other circumstances that we won't get into here, that's kind of disappeared. We don't know what happened to it, if it officially ended in conversation and that they're not going to be incorporated at all, or if they decided to push forward with it. But those are political issues, and we're just not going to worry about those things here today. So we'll go ahead and scroll up here. You can see the set booster. So this is the one where if you get the 30 cards, or sorry, the 30 pack set rather than the draft set, you'll get the 12 cards in it that have the ability to, you know, just get a little bit extra out of them sometimes. I've honestly have pulled a few of these, and I must say that overall I've not been impressed with the set boosters. They claim this higher capability, and opening some of them, yes, sometimes you do get a little bit more out of them, but more often than not, you're just getting a whole lot more of the rare bulks. And if you don't know what a rare bulk is, that is basically that dollar card. Basically, you go down to your local store, you can pick it up for $1 or less as a rare bulk, and it's just dirt cheap. And most of the time, just not worth the extra cost of paying for one of these. Now, if you're getting it close to the draft booster, fine. And I have seen where you can acquire these at the exact same price, and that just does a lot for your collection in order to getting a larger variety of the cards sometimes. However, if you are paying more than a draft booster for one of these, I wouldn't bother. In most cases, you're not getting anything extra out of it that you wouldn't get out of just the draft booster boxes, but that's just my opinion. There are also the collector booster boxes, and I suppose if you've been in it for a while, maybe you have a different perspective than me. But, and that's not shown here. They don't have that in this listing. But if you get one of those, I don't really understand that, because for the most part, most of those cards are not going to be worth the value of the individual packs that you have to pay for them. You only get 12 packs in them, and they cost anywhere between $200 and $250 for those packs. Or, well, for the entire box with all those packs. And if you buy the packs individually, they're 20 to 25 typically. And the cards you pull out of them, once again, typically are not worth the value. You're better off just going out, buying the individual card that you want, and then going and buying the draft booster box in order to fill out the collection to get most of the cards you need, and then just, you know, actually paying for that one chase that you actually want. Just look for an optimal time. Now, granted, there are some editions where there's a card in it that is super expensive, and if you're able to pull it, it is worth a ton. But even still, the likelihood of getting that card in one of those is not high enough that you're probably not going to be lucky enough to actually pull that card and get it. So as a new player looking in and looking at this from a cost position where I'm like, oof, trying to convince myself to spend that much on something where I'm just in it to play and enjoy, I'd probably avoid that. Now, if you're a collector, you've been in this for a while, you've got the cash that's expendable to you, whatever, that's your situation, that's your scenario. But if you are in this game to play, I don't see a reason to go chasing after those for the most part, at least not from buying the actual box. Now, we do have Commander editions that are available with this, and we're going to see the Silver Quill, the Prismari, the Witherbloom, Lorehold, and Quantum. So we're going to have all the new schools in this, and they are getting their own Commander decks. So if you're a Commander fan, this is great from the perspective of we're going to have 5 new boxes. Now, given that most boxes have been $20, the price that we're going to see on these probably isn't as great. We're looking back at more of what we saw early last year with those boxes, with the Ikoria setup for Commander boxes, and it was unfortunately not incredible. But we scroll up through here, they've got this beautiful image that just shows off the different schools and just kind of gives you an idea of what this world is like. And we're going to see lots of amazing art throughout this set, and we'll get up there and see that here. So what we have here, though, are very special cards from the past of Magic. Cards that are not standard legal, but you do get one in every single draft pack or set booster pack. And if you buy a collector's, you're getting 3. But again, you get 12 packs of those, and you get 3 of these in those, where basically for 2 draft booster boxes, you're getting 72 of these total available to you, where you're probably only looking at maybe 36 to 40 if you buy the collector's box. Now, there is one other reason to look at the collector's box stuff, but we'll show that here in a minute once we get to that a little bit later. But things like Demonic Tutor, Opt, Swords to Plowshares, these cards that have been kind of staples throughout Magic's history, they aren't necessarily always the most expensive, most valuable card, but you are getting some incredible art on these, and in some cases some great cards like Demonic Tutor. But so far these are the only 3 that we have seen, but there are going to be a ton of them in this set. Now we can get up here to the schools, and the first one we have is Witherbloom shown here, and they have these command cards, and basically what they do is they allow you to choose to and play those abilities when you play these cards, and their actual mana cost is going to vary depending upon what is actually on the card. But we'll just scroll through these really quick. The green and black is kind of the mill, gain life, your opponent loses life there. And then you can come up, we have Silver Quill, which is our black and white. These are kind of the writers of this world. They're all about the spoken word, where something like Witherbloom is more about nature and giving and taking from nature in order to guide your powers for it. And we can come up here and we see Quandrix, and Quandrix is all about magic from math. So basically you mathematically calculate everything out to perfection, and you bounce your lightning bolt off a mirror and strike someone around a corner or something. They're very, very analytical about their approach to magic, unlike something like the Silver Quill, which is all about that spoken word, that free flow, that feeling of magic. And then we continue up and we have Prismari for their command, and the Prismari are very much the expression of magic through motion, through movement, through the combination of fire and water, these powerful abilities of burn and counter and draw. So this will be very interesting to see going forward with that. And then we have Lorehold command, and Lorehold is all about spirits. It's all about history. So we've got a lot of artifact base here, got a lot of information that's built around the idea of communing with the past in order to empower your future. So very interesting take on all of these. So that's going to be it for the colleges there. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other specialty cards that are coming out. And right now there are special Japan versions of these cards. Now, this isn't going to be confused with the just Japanese booster boxes that are available, because there are going to be art cards that are available in those arts in both places. But in the collector's boxes, they're selling these beautiful art piece works of the versions of the card. And if you can't tell, this is the Demonic Tutor version. So you can scroll up here and you can just see that incredible artwork on this. And this is probably going to be a chase card, probably going to be worth a little bit of money. Chances are, though, it is not going to be a $250 card. Chances are you'll probably be able to buy this when it comes out for somewhere in the realm of $50, because that's kind of where Demonic Tutors fall. And even though it's incredible art, it's probably not going to sell for as much as that box. These are the ones that we saw on the other page. These are also just in the Japanese language with those on there. These are other things that you can also pull from the collector's box that have this. But then again, you can, if you want Japanese language on there and you don't care about the special art ones, you can go in and just order a box that came from Japan. They are a little bit more expensive, but from what I've seen, you can normally get those for about $150 for the draft box. So you still get the same beautiful art that's in the English version, but you get the Japanese text in there instead, and yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't just do that. But again, this is coming from the perspective of someone who's here to play, not so much get into the huge collection of these like some players are. Now let's go ahead and take a look at where we have pricing, because we have pricing already up on Amazon for all of these things. And right now, if you wanted to go out and pick yourself up one of the new set booster boxes, you're looking at $122.18 on Amazon. This is probably going to come down, just like the draft box, which is listed at $118 here. And that's because these normally sell for around $100. I go to my local game store, I order it, it's $100 for me to pick up. And that's where we're going to sit. Now on Amazon, you're normally looking at about $105, and if I had to guess, that extra $5 is probably to offset shipping costs. So they do tend to sit a little bit higher here, but it's still a better deal than some places where they might try and price gouge at $125 to $150 on one of the US boxes. So just keep an eye out for that. Make sure it is also shipped and sold by Amazon, because some of the third-party sellers, if you go online, can be a huge problem. Support your local game stores, though, as long as they're not price gouging you, though. And then we can also see here that we have the collector booster box listed at $224.07 currently on Amazon. And then the 10-pack of cards for $36.30. So basically $3.60 a pack off of here, which isn't terrible, especially if you look at putting that into what a draft booster box is. So that might be a viable way of going in this particular case, simply because it's not outside of line of cost for what they're listed here. And it's probably going to be cheaper than going to Walmart and picking it up. But again, if your local game store has it, they're selling it for $35 to $38. Probably pick it up from them instead, because it's just going to be better overall for them in the economy. And then we have the decks, and they are all selling for $35.30 right now, or you can get all 5 of them for $157.80. We don't know what's in them. We only have the logo. So we'll report more on that in the future once we have more information, but that's where we're at right now. But that's going to be it for today. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching the first episode of this.